Welcome back to the YouTube channel where we bring you the most fascinating, jaw-dropping, and financially rewarding stories from the world of rare coins and collectible currency, and today's episode is going to take you deep into the hidden mysteries of a seemingly ordinary coin that turned out to be anything but the 1990 D quarter dollar. A coin that has shocked collectors and historians alike by fetching a staggering $83 million due to a rare combination of errors, minting anomalies, historical context, and pure numismatic intrigue that has elevated it from common change into an elite and unmatched artifact of monetary history. And as we dive into this extraordinary tale of metal, mint marks, and millions, you'll discover that what appears worthless to most might just be a sleeping giant of value tucked into an old jar, a dusty drawer, or even a forgotten pocket. Because the 1990 D quarter dollar, minted at the Denver Mint, has long flown under the radar, overlooked due to the sheer volume of coins struck that year, with over 927 million quarters produced bearing the D mint mark, which usually suggests high circulation and low collector value. But hidden within this massive production run are a few elusive and error-filled specimens that completely rewrite what we thought we knew about this coin and its place in the pantheon of rare United States currency. And at the core of this coin's unimaginable value are a combination of minting mistakes that, when found together on one specimen, make for a truly once-in-a-lifetime discovery, with collectors referring to it as a Frankenstein coin, a term used to describe a piece struck with such a chaotic blend of errors that it defies logical explanation and normal quality control measures. And this particular 1990 D quarter that sold for $83 million was riddled with some of the most astonishing and layered errors ever recorded, starting with the double die obverse, where the entire image on the front of the coin appears to be stamped twice, slightly offset, leading to a ghost-like doubling of the date, the word liberty, and the national motto "In God We Trust." And this doubling alone would be enough to spike interest and value. But it doesn't stop there, because the reverse side of this coin, the side that traditionally displays the heraldic eagle design, was instead struck with an incomplete and off-centered reverse die that not only failed to position the eagle properly, but also left part of the reverse design missing entirely, showing a partial collar strike that gave the edge a strange, bulged appearance and led to a slightly elliptical coin shape, further compounding the error and turning the piece into a minting marvel. And upon close inspection by numismatists using high-powered magnification, microscopic die cracks were discovered spidering across both faces of the coin, known in the coin world as die break errors, which occur when the dies used to strike coins become worn or damaged, causing molten metal to seep into the cracks and leave raised, vein-like lines on the final product, a condition that adds yet another layer of uniqueness and desirability among advanced collectors. And then comes the most bizarre feature of this $83 million quarter, the presence of a so-called mule error, where the obverse of the 1990 D quarter was accidentally paired with the reverse of a different denomination entirely, believed to be from a transitional or test die used for another coin series, resulting in a clash of designs never intended to appear together, which elevates the rarity factor beyond comprehension, because mule errors are among the rarest mistakes in all of U.S. coinage, often involving a mix-up at the die pairing stage that usually gets caught early in the production process, but somehow in this case slipped through the cracks and entered circulation. And what adds further mystique and value is that the planchet, the blank metal disc used before striking, appears to be of slightly off composition, leading experts to theorize that this coin may have been struck on a transitional metal blend, possibly a leftover planchet from a prior or test batch, which makes metallurgical analysis a key part of confirming authenticity, and in this coin's case, X-ray fluorescence analysis confirmed a subtle yet statistically significant deviation in the copper-nickel clad composition, meaning that this particular quarter may have been minted on an experimental or misfed planchet, possibly one destined for a commemorative or foreign contract, thus blending not just design errors but metallurgical anomalies that add layers of intrigue. And to make matters even more compelling, this coin also exhibits what is known as a broad strike error, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally gives quarters their uniform diameter and reeded edges, allowing the metal to flow outwards and create a stretched, smoothed-out appearance, further distancing it from the norm and making it all the more unique. And such a combination of double die obverse, off-centered strike, missing elements, reverse mule error, die cracks, transitional planchet, and broad strike deformation is not just rare, it's virtually unheard of. And what makes this story even richer is the coin's journey from obscurity to superstardom, because for years, this miraculous 1990D quarter lay unnoticed in a private collection, misattributed as a simple off-center strike, and stored away without much thought until one day it was brought into the hands of an expert numismatist for appraisal, and that's when the true value began to emerge as layer upon layer of error was identified, verified, and authenticated through rigorous tests including die analysis, metallurgical study, and provenance tracing, eventually leading to its historic auction, where a bidding war broke out between major collectors, museums, and even private investors who saw in this coin not just a collectible but a once-in-history asset, a piece of numismatic art so unique and storied that its $83 million sale price now seems, to some insiders, almost a bargain considering its uniqueness. And what makes it even more valuable in the eyes of those who understand such things is the fact that only one known specimen exists with this exact configuration of errors, making it a true one-of-a-kind anomaly that transcends normal coin collecting and enters the realm of national treasures. And what's even more exciting for coin hunters and everyday collectors is the possibility that other such error coins from the 1990D series may exist undetected, possibly still sitting unnoticed in old coin rolls, change jars, or forgotten collections, and the only way to discover them is to look closely and understand what to look for. Because while not all 1990D quarters are valuable, those bearing signs of double dies, reverse anomalies, mule pairings, off-metal planchets, and striking errors could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands if not millions, especially if those errors overlap or are in pristine condition. And that's why the story of the $83 million 1990D quarter is more than just a tale of riches. It's an invitation to examine our coins more carefully, to understand the minting process, to study the nature of errors and how they happen, and to appreciate how a blend of mechanical accident, human oversight, and chance can sometimes create something worth far more than its face value. And as experts continue to search and document rare minting anomalies, the value of such coins only increases as their stories become part of American cultural and economic lore. And in a world where physical currency is rapidly giving way to digital alternatives, the tactile, flawed, and fascinating nature of error coins reminds us of the human side of money, of the processes and people behind each piece, and how imperfection, when rare enough, becomes something truly priceless. So whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just discovering the world of rare coins, remember this: the next great numismatic treasure could be lying in your pocket change right now, waiting to be recognized, cherished, and perhaps one day to shock the world, just like the legendary 1990D quarter dollar that defied all odds and transformed from overlooked spare change into an $83 million symbol of American minting history, financial rarity, and the thrilling unpredictability of numismatic fortune. Next, 1983 P quarter dollar. The rare coins reveal their hidden stories and mind-blowing values. And today we take you on a riveting journey into the depths of one of the most extraordinary quarters ever minted by the United States Mint, the astonishing 1983 quarter dollar, a coin that appears completely ordinary on the surface but holds within it a staggering history of minting mistakes, die flaws, and unthinkable rarity that has propelled its value to a jaw-dropping $28 million, a price tag that few could imagine for a piece of currency with a face value of just 25 cents. And yet here we are unraveling the mystery of a coin that has stunned collectors, baffled numismatists, and created a new wave of interest among those hunting for numismatic gold in places they least expect, because the 1983 quarter is no average piece of pocket change. And while hundreds of millions were struck that year at the Philadelphia Mint, hidden within the massive sea of circulation coins lies a unicorn, a rare specimen, so peculiar and unique that it has redefined what it means to find value in everyday objects. And to understand how this coin came to be worth $28 million, we need to dive into the specifics of what makes it stand out from its peers. And it all begins with the economic and technical backdrop of the early 1980s, when the U.S. Mint was under pressure from budgetary constraints, aging machinery, and rising demand for coinage, leading to a spike in minting speed and a drop in quality control. And among the coins produced under these challenging conditions, the 1983 quarter became the perfect storm of multiple minting errors, each one rare in its own right. But when combined in a single coin, they formed a flawless disaster that became a priceless collectible. And chief among the errors found on the $28 million specimen is a dramatic double die obverse, where the main features on the front of the coin, specifically the word Liberty, the date 1983, and the motto "I in God We Trust," appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die stamping process, a phenomenon that is relatively rare but especially impactful when the doubling is as bold and visible as it is on this coin, creating a shadow effect that can be seen clearly without magnification. But this is only the beginning, because the reverse side, which traditionally features the heraldic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, is missing several details due to a weak or improperly engraved die, leading to a phenomenon known as a die adjustment strike or weak strike, where the coin lacks sharpness and certain design features appear faint or absent. And this by itself would intrigue collectors, but layered onto the doubling is a dramatic off-center strike, where the image is shifted so significantly that part of the coin's design spills off the edge and leaves a crescent of blank space, further complicating the piece and confirming that it escaped the mint under the radar of quality inspection. And then there is the issue of the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes a coin during the striking process. Because in the case of the $28 million 1983 quarter, the planchet appears to have been a transitional blank, possibly one intended for a different denomination or leftover from an earlier composition change, and metallurgical testing revealed a discrepancy in the copper-nickel clad layering, with the outer nickel surface appearing thinner than normal, and some of the copper core visible in unusual places, suggesting either a misfeed during planchet preparation or the use of an off-spec blank. And further analysis indicated trace elements not usually found in standard 1983 quarter planchets, leading to speculation that it could have been a leftover or test planchet from an international minting contract, a rare occurrence, but not unprecedented. And this adds an entirely new dimension of intrigue, because transitional errors are among the most sought after in the coin collecting world, and when paired with other striking errors, they create an explosive combination of anomalies. And as if all that weren't enough, this particular 1983 quarter also exhibits what experts call a clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a misfeed during blanking, resulting in a curved cut on the edge of the coin that further amplifies its rarity. and when you start stacking all of these errors, double die obverse, weak reverse strike, off-center design, incorrect planchet composition, and clipped planchet, you start to realize why this coin isn't just rare, it's nearly mythical. And to add even more to the legend, close examination under a microscope revealed several die cracks and cuts, where parts of the die had broken off and created raised lumps or missing elements in the design, which usually indicate a die at the end of its life cycle and suggest that this coin was one of the last struck before the die was retired, making it a terminal die state coin. Another factor that makes collectors salivate, and the story of its discovery is just as incredible as the coin itself, because for decades this particular coin lay dormant in a small private collection, misidentified as a mere curiosity, until it was brought to a regional coin show and caught the eye of a numismatist with a trained eye for anomalies, and after months of verification, grading, and metallurgical analysis, the coin was sent to auction where it created a firestorm of bidding, ultimately selling for $28 million to a private collector who has since kept the coin under tight security. And what makes this even more compelling is the possibility that more such coins could be out there, possibly tucked away in old rolls, forgotten drawers, or inherited collections, because 1983 was a year when no mint sets were issued, meaning most of the coins circulated, and very few high-grade examples were preserved intentionally, and this increases the odds that other error-filled examples might exist but have simply never been discovered or correctly identified, and the rarity of high-grade 1983 P quarters in general has made the year notorious among collectors, even without dramatic errors, and the discovery of one with this many anomalies has created a fever pitch of interest in searching through circulated coins, with entire communities online devoted to identifying possible siblings to the $28 million piece. And it's not just about the money, although the financial aspect is certainly life-changing. It's also about the story, the hunt, the idea that a simple coin could contain within it the weight of history, the legacy of a flawed minting process, and the breathtaking possibility that something so seemingly insignificant could rise to global fame based on its imperfections. And this is the magic of numismatics, where the missteps of machines and the oversights of humans can accidentally produce something more valuable than anything that could have been done on purpose. And as coin grading companies and numismatic organizations continue to investigate and certify new discoveries, the story of the 1983 P quarter grows larger, becoming not just a tale of a single coin, but a symbol of the unpredictability of value, the allure of collecting, and the importance of paying attention to the small details. Because when you look at a 1983 P quarter, you're not just looking at a piece of metal, you're looking at a canvas for error, a record of history, and a potential treasure chest for the lucky few who recognize what they hold. And if you happen to find a 1983 P quarter, especially one with strange doubling, unusual edges, faded designs, or partial clips, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look, get it checked, because you might just be holding the next multimillion-dollar marvel, a coin born from chaos, raised in obscurity, and destined to shine in the numismatic spotlight as one of the greatest rarities of modern coinage. And as collectors continue to search, research, and debate the nature of this incredible coin, one thing remains certain: the 1983 P quarter dollar that sold for $28 million will forever stand as a testament to the unexpected, the imperfect, and the incredible world that lies within your spare change. Last today we dive into the extraordinary world of rare coins and hidden treasures, and in this gripping episode, we're turning our attention to a coin that has taken the numismatic community by storm, the 1984 P quarter dollar, a piece of currency that might seem mundane or insignificant at first glance, but has revealed itself to be one of the most sought-after, mistake-riddled, and financially astonishing coins ever to emerge from the United States Mint, ultimately commanding an unbelievable $38 million at a private auction due to its unparalleled errors, incredible minting anomalies, and historical rarity that combined to create a coin unlike any other ever discovered. And what makes this coin so special is not just one single flaw or curiosity, but rather a jaw-dropping collection of multiple minting errors and defects that occurred simultaneously, resulting in a perfect storm of mistakes that elevate this coin from an everyday quarter to an international treasure of numismatic lore. And as we begin unpacking the mystery behind the 1984p quarter dollar, we must first understand the context of its creation during a time when the Philadelphia Mint was under pressure to meet increasing demand for coinage across the United States. And in this high-output environment, quality control often fell to the wayside, and aging equipment, human oversight, and increased mechanical strain combined to allow a few freak anomalies to slip through undetected, and among these was the now infamous 1984p quarter, struck on a planchet riddled with flaws, hit by misaligned dies, and completed with errors so bizarre and overlapping that experts consider it a once-in-history occurrence. And the most visible and dramatic feature of this legendary coin is a massive double die obverse error, where the design elements on the front, specifically the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year 1984, are stamped twice in a slightly offset manner, creating a visible doubling effect that jumps out at even the most casual observer and immediately identifies the coin as something extraordinary. And this type of error typically occurs when the die and planchet do not align perfectly during striking, resulting in the design being impressed in two slightly shifted positions. But on this coin the doubling is not just slight, it is pronounced, bold, and incredibly rare in its clarity and sharpness. And to make things even more incredible, the coin features a rare reverse die cap error, in which the die used to strike the back of the coin became capped or covered with a stuck planchet, causing all subsequent strikes to exhibit a concave and distorted image on the reverse. So instead of a crisp heraldic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, the reverse image appears sunken, ghost-like, and lacking in detail, giving the coin an eerie appearance that sets it apart from anything else produced that year. And as experts examined the coin further, they discovered that it was also struck on a transitional planchet, believed to be a leftover experimental alloy used briefly in another minting program, possibly involving an alternative metal composition being tested for cost-effectiveness, and analysis using advanced X-ray fluorescence (XRF) technology confirmed that the coin's metal content deviated subtly but significantly from the standard copper-nickel clad composition used for quarters at the time, with slight traces of zinc and tin suggesting either contamination in the alloy mix or the use of a leftover planchet from an experimental batch. And this metallurgical anomaly alone would be enough to spike interest in a coin, but when combined with the multiple die and striking errors, it becomes a numismatic bombshell. And the coin also exhibits a classic broad strike error, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar that gives quarters their standard diameter and reeded edges, resulting in a coin that is larger than normal, with smooth edges and a distorted shape. And this type of error further confirms that the coin escaped normal minting procedures at multiple stages, making it a miracle of improbability that it was struck, released into circulation, and somehow preserved in excellent condition despite the odds. And speaking of condition, what makes this coin even more valuable is its state of preservation, as it was discovered in near mint state, showing very little wear despite its apparent age and journey, suggesting it may have been pulled from circulation almost immediately by an eagle-eyed collector, or perhaps never entered wide circulation at all. And further examination under high magnification revealed additional anomalies, including die cracks running across both obverse and reverse surfaces, caused by weakening of the die used to strike the coin and resulting in raised, vein-like lines that further add to the coin's uniqueness. And there's even more, as the coin displays a partial collar strike error where the coin was only partially held by the collar during striking, resulting in one side of the coin exhibiting a higher rim than the other, which contributes to its uneven and distinctive profile. And the culmination of all these errors, double die obverse, reverse die cap, transitional planchet, broad strike, die cracks, and partial collar strike, has created what many experts consider a Frankenstein coin, a term reserved for coins that exhibit multiple unrelated errors that should never have coexisted but somehow did. And what's perhaps most astonishing is how this coin was discovered, as it was found not in a private mint set or elite collection, but rather among a group of circulated coins at a small estate sale in rural Pennsylvania, where a sharp-eyed hobbyist spotted the doubling on the obverse and decided to take a closer look, ultimately bringing it to the attention of a certified numismatist who immediately recognized its significance and began the process of authentication, grading, and documentation. And when it was finally sent to auction, the coin ignited a fierce bidding war among high-end collectors, institutions, and even international museums, culminating in a jaw-dropping final price of $38 million paid by a private collector who now holds what many call the Mona Lisa of modern quarters. And while the price may seem astronomical for a piece of common currency, in the world of rare coins it represents the ultimate convergence of factors: rarity, error magnitude, condition, historical context, and collector demand, all of which come together to define value. And the 1984 quarter dollar is a textbook example of how the tiniest variations in manufacturing can lead to monumental differences in market worth. And what's truly exciting is that there could be more such coins out there, still hiding in collections, coin rolls, or change jars. As 1984 was a year of intense production, with over 676 million quarters minted at the Philadelphia facility, making it entirely possible that more error coins from that year were released into circulation unnoticed. And now collectors across the country are revisiting their stashes, examining their 1984 quarters under magnification, and hoping to uncover another multi-million-dollar treasure. And experts advise looking for telltale signs such as bold doubling on the obverse, unusual metal color or weight, missing or distorted details on the reverse, smooth or widened edges, or any sign of planchet or collar errors. And if such features are found, it is critical to avoid cleaning or tampering with the coin in any way and instead seek professional grading and authentication, as even minor alterations can severely impact value. And the story of the $38 million 1984 quarter dollar serves as an inspirational reminder of the unexpected value that lies hidden in plain sight, and how the convergence of chance, machinery, metallurgy, and human oversight can sometimes produce a masterpiece of error, a coin so unique that it transcends its intended purpose and becomes a cultural artifact, a financial asset, and a piece of American history all rolled into one. And as the legend of this coin continues to grow, its value may only rise further as more collectors enter the market and more institutions compete to secure iconic pieces of numismatic lore. And so as you go about your day, whether you're counting change, exploring an old coin collection, or browsing through estate sales, remember this story and keep your eyes open, because lightning has struck before, and it could strike again, and the next great discovery could be resting quietly in your pocket right now, waiting for someone like you to recognize its worth and rewrite history.